It's Batman on the NES. Sunsoft, 1989 was the year. Michael Keaton was the Batman. The music was really bad. Finished with Mega Man 2, now we're on to the very well-known Batman NES game. Horrible music in the title screen, that's why I left it on so we can all listen and enjoy. Finally picked up after about 30 seconds, and I don't think it's going, so now we get the opening cutscene. Batman is driving towards Gotham City in the better black 80s Batmobile that he had, and pops out. Batman is quite purple in this game, looking more like the 60s cartoon and live-action Batman than even the 80s Michael Keaton Batman he was supposed to be designed from, but the game has so much black and brown that I suppose they needed Batman to stand out from that background. From the manual of the game, description of the first stage, Batman, all caps, begins his adventure in Gotham City, all caps. As he investigates the DDID nerve gas scandal, Batman travels through the dark, deserted main street. In the second area, he encounters a shopping mall background with skyscrapers at the bottom. There is no sign of life, only the steel skeletons of buildings and the steel structure of a freeway. Finally, Batman reaches City Hall, located in the center of Gotham City, all caps, where he must defeat the boss. I won't give away who the boss is till we get there for all of the really deep Batman geek fans out there, unlike me. So I have no idea who a lot of these people are. Some of the enemies encountered in this stage, also from the manual, Shakedown rushes toward Batman in all caps. Heatwave shoots fire gun. We can see some of them there as I'm climbing this building. Later on, we have the Enforcer, who flies at Batman with a rocket pack and shoots his machine gun right at the top of this the steel girders here of this building. Later on, we have KG Beast, who attacks with his katana and shuriken in quotation marks. This would be the Enforcer. KG Beast apparently is a real Batman villain, as is the Enforcer. And then another one that we saw there, Deadshot, who crouches down and stands up and shoots a very slow-moving bullet, and then crouches down and then stands up and shoots a very slow-moving bullet again. This is KG Beast, who, if you let him come out of his little hiding place there, will attack you with his ninja katana, but I don't let him go. Here is the boss of the first stage, Killer Moth, a apparently second-tier or third-tier Batman villain that was thrown in here as a subtle nod to the Batman deep comic book fans in the late 80s and early 90s who would have been playing this game. So you notice in that first stage, while I was reading all of the manual action, that here's the cutscene going to the second stage. Batman has a wall jump that he uses to get around this world that we have here. Stage 2 is called the Axis Chemical Factory. The wall jump becomes a very important mechanic throughout the full game. Later on, we have some very frustrating wall jumping. And the mechanics of it are pretty tight, but you have to carefully time your jumps. Also, how long you hold the jump button controls how high you jump, both from the ground and from the wall. So if you do a quick tap of the A button, you'll do the short jump, and then a long hold of the A button does the long or high jump, depending on where you are on the ground or on the wall. So you have to very carefully position yourself, and then very carefully time your jumping to get the right length of jump from the correct spot on the wall, as we'll see later on. This is the Axis Chemical Factory from the manual. The Joker, in all caps, hideout. The Axis, also all caps, Chemical Factory is Batman's next challenge. Here he must cross a liquid waste floor, the plant for processing chemical waste. The Spark Floor, equipped with operational panels of power for the entire factory. The Conveyor Belt floor, where chemical materials are refined. And finally, the Nerve Center, the boss of Stage 2. In this area, Batman must outsmart security traps and destroy the entire, all caps here, machine intelligence system. The translation in the manual is not so bad, but get some interesting thoughts from our Sunsoft friends. Here we have some new enemies in this level. Night Slayer. Those are those green alien-looking guys. We'll see more of those guys. More of some of our first level enemies also. We have an enemy called Javelin, attacks with long spear. So now we have some damage floors that we're having to maneuver our way on. We have one of the sequence of long jumps. Here's one of the claw guys, the slow-moving claw guys. So you have to very carefully time those jumps to avoid touching the electricity floor. Long jump, short jump, long jump. Good players of this one can position themselves on that wall, but sometimes it becomes very important on these long sequences of wall jumps where you position yourself on your very first jump from the ground to the wall. If you're too high or too low, you can get yourself in trouble later on in parts of the screen that you can't even see. So there is a lot of memorization in these levels. Music's good through these first two after the opening title screen music, and it's annoying. Okay, we're on to, this is the Conveyor Belt stage. Has some damage floors in it that are not as obvious as the electricity floors, so you have to be careful with that, and it just takes a couple of runs through for me anyway to learn, oh yeah, okay, that's damage, okay, that's not, okay, that is, okay, that's not. Here I'm farming for hearts and one of these repeatedly spawning enemies. I am using Batman's Punch mostly, and I use a turbo controller on this one because I don't care to practice pounding out my emulator controller to get his punches to go as quickly as I'd like. So I have the B button just set to turbo. You also see that when I was throwing the Batarang enemy, there it is. The power-ups there, so those turning spikes are all damage floors, but these conveyor belts are not. You can also do a wall jump from a conveyor belt as if it were a still wall. It's an interesting mechanic there. So we have the Batarang, we have the little rocket gun, and then we have the Dirk for Batman. I don't use the Dirk very often. It splits into three pieces. Each one of those takes a different amount of weapon energy that you pick up, 10 units at a time from the little missiles. Okay, the spear gun is what I've got my manual. The spear gun is the long projectile weapon. The Batarang only takes 1 unit of energy. Spear gun takes 2, and I think the Dirk takes 3 because it splits. But we see that used a little bit later on. Here's the boss of stage 2. This is a lovely Room of Death boss. There's not a classic Batman villain here. We have to destroy the nerve center of this one, the machine intelligence. We have the electric current controller. We have a cannon. And then we have the nerve center, which is awakened after the defeat of the first 2 targets. So this is the second target. I'm using the spear gun, which apparently shoots rocket spears. And now I have to destroy that nerve center with a series of punches. After this, we'll be finished with stages 1 and 2. Next week, we will take on